The following video is one in a series on spiritual resilience training, a non-religious view of personal values and their dynamics with others. The contents reflect a variety of principles and practices of systems theory and relational counseling for team building and family resilience. Although the series is intended to support Army Corps values, each video also encourages the viewer to reflect on their current prominent values in specific situations and to consider what values may be more appropriate to means and results that are honorable and helpful with others. Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated.
Welcome back. In a previous video we started talking about how to speak as a whole person, and we used the diagram behind us here to do that. You can refer to that video, BRAV, speaking as a whole person. But I'd like to incorporate this again as part of peer counseling to talk about self-care. Now, most of us are familiar with different aspects of self-care, making sure that we have a good diet, that we exercise, that we get a right amount of sleep, that we have good relationships and good habits. But I'd like to use this to remind us that in order to provide good peer counseling for someone else, to help them speak as a whole person, we need to be doing that with someone else all the time. We need to have somebody in our life that fits three basic criteria so that we can speak as a whole person to them, a trusted person. And that is the first point. It needs to be somebody that we trust. Whether that is your spouse or best friend from high school or somebody you worked with years ago and you're not physically living in the same place but you keep contact through phone conversations or by whatever means. You need people in your life that you can trust. The technique is very important, but unless there is an element of trust, it's not nearly as powerful, it won't go nearly as deep. That's why when you help someone else do this for themselves, it's important that we continually make sure that we are building safety, their sense of safety, that they can speak their mind, that they can go deeper, that they trust us, and that we have their well-being in mind, that we're moving toward a positive end. But you need somebody in your life that you can trust, that you can speak as a whole person to. Second, they need to understand you and be committed to you. You can trust somebody and you can speak your mind to them, but in terms of them receiving it and really getting you, that doesn't always happen. So truth is foundational. That you need to trust them, but they need to get you. They need to understand you. And so that pool of possibilities, that pool of number of people gets a little bit smaller when we add that criteria to it. Think about the number of people in your life that really understand who you are. And they know what makes you tick. You can start a sentence and they might be able to finish that sentence. Maybe you've known them just for a couple of years, maybe you've known them all your life, but they get you. Let's shrink it a little bit more than that. They're committed to you. Some people get you and then they shy away. They understand you, but they're not well enough themselves, or to be honest, they don't love you enough to be there for you. They're not committed for your well-being. Maybe they're just too busy. Maybe they've got too much stuff going on in their own life. But you need somebody you can trust, somebody who understands you, somebody who is committed to you, and the last thing, it needs to be somebody that you and they will work together for your well-being. So as you speak as a whole person and you say, in the context of this relationship, and you may be talking about a co-worker, your marriage, one of your children, a close friend, in the context of this relationship, and you might start here, I'm avoiding this person. I want to avoid. I feel scared, anxious all the time when I'm with them. I want a closer relationship, but I believe that I am too different from them. That We just don't click. So that you can speak your mind, and you'll begin to go deeper in all of these until the other person will help you, whether they know this model or this technique or not. But if you trust them, you will speak your heart. You'll speak your mind. You'll tell them what actions you're really taking. You'll tell them how you truly feel. If you don't trust them, you won't open up. And if they know you well, they'll get you. They'll understand what you're trying to say, and then they'll be able to draw more out of you. And even if it starts to get ugly, if it starts to get strange or very vulnerable, you're becoming very vulnerable and open to them, and other people might say, well, maybe you need to go see a counselor, or maybe you need a pastor, maybe you need a chaplain. They don't shy away from you. They're still committed to you, and you're both willing and able to work together, because they'll press you on some of these things. I understand you've been wanting to avoid them, but if you really want a closer relationship, you can't avoid them and want to be closer. I know you feel scared, they may say, and you may think you're too different, but it sounds like there's something about that relationship that maybe they want to be closer to. And so they will push you a little bit to move beyond an action of avoidance. They'll push you to say, are you really that different? And not push you in a way that pushes you away because you trust them, but in a way that helps you work together to work toward those positive goals. Does that make sense? So somebody you trust, somebody who gets you and is committed to you, and somebody that both of you will work together. Notice I didn't say they accept you, because I think that word is often misunderstood or misused. Acceptance doesn't mean that we agree or like everything about the other person, although it's often misconstrued to mean that. I choose the words instead, they're committed to you. They're there for you no matter how hard or ugly or strange it gets, because they care. Hope that makes sense. Take care of yourself. I encourage you to invest yourself in a relationship that you trust, that will be helpful to you, and you work together. Hope that's helpful, and I'll see you next time.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research, Development, and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.